My talk today is open source platform resilience collaboration across FOSS CMSs. And first off, good morning. Thank you for being here. I know it's the third day of the conference. It's Friday morning, 9 a.m. or so. If I wasn't speaking, probably I wouldn't be here. So thank you for being. I really appreciate it. So we have some agenda for today. Once again, it's Friday morning. I know. Once again, thank you for being here. We're going to take a look at some stats. We're going to take a look at some history. We're going to take a look at some examples, then a few more examples, something that we can do together, or at least something that I think we can do together as open source CMSs, some Q&A if we have time, and of course, more sessions and workshops today. So I'm looking forward to attend a couple of the workshops and sessions later today as well. So about me, very shortly, I'm Stanko Metodiev. I'm CTO of Devrix, one of the top 20 or so WordPress agencies out there. I'm a WordPress veteran, which makes me old. I'm one of the leaders of WordPress Sofia user group, which is one of the official WordPress meetups that we're doing at Sofia. I'm one of the organizers of WordCamp Sofia, which is our WordPress event that is happening almost every year. I have more than 12 years of experience with building multi-site, complex software as a service solutions, pretty much everything that has been around in web. And I'm truly open source believer. I am a Linux user. I'm using open source as much as I can. I contribute whatever I can, so I really believe in this. So before we start, I haven't used Drupal in a while, and I put asterisks because I installed it yesterday. It was my first installation since probably 10 years or so. So don't quote me on some of the things that I might do or say wrong about Drupal. My last Drupal conference was 2012. It was very long ago. It was in Sofia. I tried to find a couple of photos to prove you, but Facebook groups were merged, websites were merged, so you have to believe me. And that's actually true. I put it this morning because I really like the conference so far. I've learned some new things. I met some people, so it's really amazing for being here. And actually, what I'd like to start is some percentage usage and something that most likely this is something that you already know. We know it's WordPress. It has over 40% MNO, and I'm pretty sure you start thinking about this. Yeah, WordPress guy in a Drupal conference talking about stats. What it's actually about is, and what I mean by these stats is, I still want to share with you about content management systems. I'd like to see how we can work together, how we can improve together, how we can move basically every open source platform out there. And also I have some concerns and observations about how the things around content management systems are moving, or at least some of my personal thoughts. So, why collaboration? Basically, I think we can have, this is just a few benefits that I can think of. Like, why open source CMS? It's free. It has the flexibility. We can do whatever we want. We have pretty much the tools. If we have the skills, we can build whatever type of website, project, software, whatever it is. We also have content ownership when we use our CMS. So what I mean by that is our customers, we own the content itself. If we're using a third-party service or closed CMS, I've heard some stories, I read some stories about people being on Medium, for example, building their content for many years, and for some reason, Medium decides to shut their website down. They lost the content, they lost everything that have been working for many years. And I've heard this for many other closed CMSs and proprietary software. So with open source CMS, we don't have this problem because we own everything. Of course, we have the extensive community support because like the Drupal community, like the WordPress community and other open source, we can attend to conference, we can attend to meetups, we can ask in support forums, and basically we can get the help that we need. Of course, security. I truly believe that the open source systems that we are using are as secure as possible, as much as possible, because everything is public, everything can be reviewed, contributed to, tested, and whatnot. And with the popularity of this open source, they are often target of potential attacks, so we prove to be in a very good shape, at least in my opinion. Integrations is also something that I think we can do together. Like basically with having the open source systems, we in Drupal, in WordPress, we tend to have similar cases. We have API integrations, we have software integrations, so this is something that we can do together and improve. One more thing is vendor independence, and what I mean by that is when we build a WordPress website or a Drupal website, we use a technology that is popular. So if I'm not happy for some reason with the current vendor, I can switch to another vendor that specializes in Drupal, in WordPress, Joomla, whatever that is. If my system is custom built, someone needs to review it, someone needs to take a look, and potentially they might not be able to do the job. And of course, customization is personalization because it's free, it's open source, so we can do whatever we want with the tools we have. And there are a couple of examples that WordPress and Drupal specifically have worked together over the years. And WPML is one of the most popular paid plugin for WordPress, which adds the multi-language part. It's not in core, it's in WordPress, it's shame. It's working to be there, but originally, if I'm not mistaken, probably 27, 28, the first initial creation of WPML was for Drupal. Then they switched to WordPress, their plugin exploded, and there are a couple of other plugins. I'm not tied to anything with WPML. It's just one of the examples that has been started for Drupal first. I know some agency here in Bulgaria, and not only that, are specializing in WordPress, in Drupal, which makes a great vendor to take a look at. Of course, that type of conference is something that we can do together, and I don't think we have enough conference about CMS systems in the first place. We have the Drupal conference. I know there is a Joomla conference. We have WordCamps, WordPress for WordPress conference, but I think we can do something together with the open source CMS itself. And of course, I think we can develop more and more cross-platform solutions that can work for either this type of CMS or that type of CMS. There is a YouTube video that I just wanted to share about. It's like, I'm not sure if, how many of you have seen this? Okay, I recommend it. It's not super technical, but it's around 40 minutes of fun talk. This gentleman on the left and gentleman on the right are Mike Little and Matt Mullenweg. They are co-founders of WordPress, and I'm pretty sure you know this guy in the middle, so I don't have to make the introduction. They meet in one of the, I think in the 20th anniversary of WordPress. They meet together, share some stories. It's a fun video to watch. And now, moving to the main point, and why I truly believe it's important to collaborate together. So, every story has to have a villain or the enemy or whatever it is in order to make it interesting. Enemy or villain are kind of strong words in a sense, but I wanted to make an impression, so I use them. So, if we take a look at the stats that we checked just a few minutes ago, we have a couple of interesting things that I like to share here. So we have Webflow, which is around 1% of the usage. We have PrestaShop, we have Squarespace, we have Wix and Shopify, and at the top we have none, which is around 31%. And what's interesting is that combining together, this is probably 40 or so percentage of CMSs that are not open source. They are closed CMSs. They are proprietary software that is gaining more and more popularity over the years. In the last few years, we can see, Webflow, Wix, Shopify, and all of that, they started exploding, and they have more and more usage. And I kind of don't like this. Just a few examples why I don't like this that much. If you take a look at this, this is the homepage of Shopify. We can see the beautiful landing page. We have, I think that's Wix, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. We have Squarespace. We have, this is a Webflow, if I'm not mistaken, yeah? And this is kind of something new. That's HubSpot CMS. No, sorry, that's a HubSpot content management or whatever. They have HubSpot CMS for years, but they kind of stopped developing it. And recently they introduced this content management system that is running completely on HubSpot, which from what I heard, what I've checked about it, it tends to be very, very promising thing. But what do we see here? We have better e-commerce. We have without limits. We have designed to sell. We have for everyone. We also have personalized content, AI, everything. We have very, very nice designs and beautiful landing pages and beautiful messages that we're seeing on their homepages. But what about us? We have this Joomla homepage here. We have this Drupal homepage here. And we have this WordPress homepage here. Luckily, last year they made a redesign, so it looks a bit better. But I'm reacting like this. I'm comparing our homepages. By our, I mean all this open source CMS and all that. And I'm comparing this with the proprietary CMSs that we just see. And a couple of things that I started thinking about when I prepared the presentation, like what we used to say before versus nowadays. And like before, we were saying we are the leading CMSs, we have the percentage and all that. Of course, you know, WordPress leading the percentage and whatnot, but the percentage started decreasing. Drupal was over 6-7% or so at some point, which was amazing. Also, they were free, which is still true. They were easy to use. Our CMSs were easy to use for the end users. Drupal, I always like this. From what I know, like the main focus was educational, government, big enterprise website, which I really, really like in terms of how the things are moving. Our CMSs were beautiful. And I'm saying this with asterisks because I have a couple of other things that I'd like to share a bit later. And they were stable and secure, which is still true at the moment. But you know, now I'm hearing more and more that every open CMS is hard to use. For example, yesterday I installed Drupal. I have some sort of experience with working with websites, but I had to set up a hosting account, set up a platform, install a couple of modules just to be able to write my first blog post. It was a dummy one, but it took me probably 30 minutes or so with all the waiting and everything. With other proprietary CMSs, you set up an account, and after a few minutes, you have a website that is running, selling products and whatnot. So I don't think nowadays our CMSs are easy to use, especially for less technical people. Because we are not talking about this, nowadays people tend to, because CMS are open, are free, they are not so super unstable. For example, like there is always a joke, you have a website, a WordPress website, you install a plugin and everything breaks. Yesterday there were a couple of jokes about some modules that are not compatible and whatnot. So you install it, you see a fatal error, and basically you have a white screen of that. Which I know it's not true because I'm working every day with WordPress and I know how stable, how powerful, and how good it is. But we are not talking about this enough. I'm not hearing about this from Drupal communities, for Joomla communities, for other free CMSs that often, unfortunately. And because they are free, especially in the WordPress community, people tend to expect that because it's free, it should be cheap. The work around it should be cheap because there is always a available solution. I'm not sure how much this is around Drupal, but for WordPress, it's actually hard to convince people that they need to pay good money in order to get good software. And honestly, this makes me sad. I way less often hearing about, I made my WordPress website, I made my Drupal website. I haven't heard someone to use Joomla for years, probably for good, but that's a personal opinion. And I've stopped hearing this that often, which makes me really, really sad. On the surface, I tend to carry on and pretend that this doesn't matter that much, but on the inside, I'm really, really crying inside. So we all know what is CMS. We're all here and whatnot, but like I honestly think about that we stopped considering that it's open source and why this means for us. So a couple of things that I'd like to share with you, like in things of how we can improve together and why we can do together. And I truly believe it's actually a lot. And we can combine forces together, we can improve and moving forward together. So a couple of things. One is the editing experience. From working for many, many years, I start forgetting about that. Actually, C in the CMS stands for content, and like this is one of the the most important thing of our websites and our software. So we still have this WYSIWYG area which I think it's never gonna end, and I truly don't like WYSIWYG for all the possible reasons. Yesterday, when I worked with Drupal, I started thinking what is the name of the editor? It's kind of WYSIWYG, but it's based on or it looks alike, or it's not completely WYSIWYG. Yeah, okay. It felt to me like it's very close to what I used to use for a WYSIWYG editor. So I personally don't like it. It has many flaws and whatnot, but everywhere we have this type of WYSIWYG. I think we can work on a real-time collaboration, and this is something that in the WordPress community, it's something that starts being working on. For example, if like open a Google document and a few people can work together real-time, posting comments and whatnot, which I think can be very, very powerful. Nowadays, with all the AI that we have, I believe it's a bit easier to be achieved, and I'm looking forward to see this. We can do together content analysis in terms of like, since this is the content management system, like sharing better articles, having, yesterday we had a couple of amazing AI sessions and discussions where we discussed this, like, for example, how we can review content, make suggestions, improve together. And like, I think we can build something together in order to share this with the community, because the software behind the content shouldn't matter that much. Also, AI suggestions and whatnot. This can be built together in terms of, once again, better content, better structure, better wording, multi-language and whatnot. And of course, SEO tips and tricks and whatnot, and many, many, many more things. When I prepared for this presentation, I noticed like there is Gutenberg for Drupal, which I'm not sure if that's popular or if it's still even a thing. But I saw a couple of videos, I see a couple of smiles, so I realized it's not even a thing. But Gutenberg, it's very, very nice editor, and it's something that has been created in order to mainly for WordPress, but it has been created with mind that can be reused. And it has some it has some learning curve, but it uses the same concept of building blocks and everything. It's a block on WordPress. So I find this project interesting, but like looking at the reaction, probably it's not something that it's popular or it will be used to whatever. But anyway, we also can have shared designs, templates, and whatnot. And when I had a couple of discussions with you over the past few days, many of you shared that in Drupal community you don't have that beautiful ready-to-use templates and whatnot. It's a concern that a couple of people expressed and whatnot, and I believe we kind of do better job on this, but we have many things to improve. So that's the default theme when I installed Drupal yesterday. That's the default theme of WordPress. When you install a blank new WordPress every year, we are changing and whatnot. And I think we can do better. We can have a bit better looking websites out of the box. What else we can do? We have e-commerce. E-commerce is e-commerce. It doesn't matter which system it is. Shopify, it's gaining more and more popularity because it's easy to use, it's fast, it's secure, and it's really, really made for people that don't have that much experience. But as a community, we can work together in order to, in every e-commerce website, we have payment systems, we have integrations, we have API with shipping vendors, with, say, Amazon or whatever. We can build things together. At the end of the day, it's a software that, you know, for example, if we are making a Stripe integration, we need to work with Stripe. We can port it for, say, a WordPress, for Drupal, for other CMS and whatnot. We can improve security together because it's e-commerce site. It's a bit tricky to, you know, to make sure all of your customers' data, all of your vendor data is actually safe and stable. We can do better reports. I personally haven't used the e-commerce solution for Drupal, so I'm not sure how it is, but like a few of the popular solutions for WordPress, they have very defaulty reports which never helped the end user or the customer itself, the owner of the shop, to do the analysis and basically see if they're doing good or not. They have some basic reports, but you always need to install an additional plugin or build something over the top of it, or looking at Google Analytics or whatnot. We also can have a better analysis in terms of like how we can improve the messaging of our products, how we can improve the look and feel of our products to make them more beautiful and selling more. And of course, many, many integrations that we shared about. Also, a couple things like this, more conference, more workshops, more working together, building things together. Yesterday and on Wednesday, I think, I participated in a couple of the workshops. They were very useful. They were very interesting. The same goes for the sessions. Not everything that you're saying I'm understanding completely, but in many of the sessions, there were very, very interesting things, especially about the AI. A couple of more things that we can do together is, once again, we can share code, we can share libraries, we can share snippets. I think that we kind of forget that Drupal, Joomla, WordPress, they're using PHP. So we can do together many, many things. We are also using many JavaScript libraries. We, you know, I'm pretty sure that we can improve the collaboration between the systems in that case as well. Multi-language is something that we have to take a look how you're doing it and how you're doing it great, because it's part of the Drupal core, which is really, really amazing. Like I mentioned a bit earlier on WordPress, the work has been done, has been started, and there are attempts to this to land to the core. But you know, we'll see when this happens. But on the multi-language side, we can work together in order to. We have similar dashboards, we have similar messages, call to action, additional items. We can share translations, we can unify the jargon, we can unify the wording and messaging that we are sending to our customers. And a couple of more things is like content sharing and easy migrations. I think we have some systems out there that are kind of working, but we can make some integrations, APIs that we can make it a bit easier to migrate from one content management system to another content management system without making too much of a fuss or making it too much of a big deal for our customers. So I think we can create something there. And marketing is one of the topics. I know we are in a tech conference. I'm also a tech person, so marketing is not my strong point. But these are just a few examples. This article is from 2017 when they announced Wix had $1 million for marketing budget for the year. You see the growth of the percentage. I think it worked well for them. Recently, Squarespace announced these two, basically that's the same news in different words. They have a shared marketing campaign for Super Bowl with Martin Scorsese. So they're going to have a big advertisement during one of the biggest events, especially in States. And I'm pretty sure their numbers in the next few years are going to improve a bit in terms of usage and whatnot, because they are doing this type of popularity and social activity. A few things that we can do together once again. We have to have better portfolios. I'm looking at the showcase of WordPress, makes me sad. I checked the showcase of Drupal, the official website. It doesn't look that exciting to me, to be honest. Especially when I'm comparing this to, the closed source solutions and what. And I'm not saying that we're doing not beautiful projects. We are doing it, but we are never tell about this. It's like part of the company portfolio, part of my personal portfolio, whatever it is, but we are not making too much of a noise about this. I think we also can improve the marketing and like the educational materials in some shape or form. We have to educate a bit more our users, because our CMSs are not that easy to use anymore, and it's a bit hard. I probably once or twice a year, I'm doing an experiment, picking up a friend, setting up a WordPress instance, and I'm telling them, please create a few landing pages with a menu, a few blog posts. You have 30 minutes. And I'm just sitting and watching, and every time it makes me a little bit sad, because they have so many buttons, so many options, which plugin I need to install, which model I need to enable, do I need this? In terms of like, I know why Drupal is using Note and this type of system, but it's kind of confusing for the end user. What is a blog post? What is a landing page? What type of custom fields and whatnot? It's not that easy anymore to be used, or at least other systems are making it easier for the end user, and we are a bit behind on this. So better educational materials probably can help here. I also like to read more type of articles, more of this type or more of that type of article. What I mean by this is basically be a bit bold. We are making beautiful projects. We are making great piece of software, and we are not talking enough about it. We, as a company at Devers, we struggle with, we are being for 13 or so years, and our portfolio doesn't excite me, because we always have this type of NDAs or client contracts and whatnot, so we cannot share the best work that we're doing behind the scenes. But I think we still can improve in that front. And I also like to have a bit more of type of showcases for technical solutions. With the power that our CMS are giving us, we can create many, many great things, and we have been creating and for many years. And there's not too many examples of this. Like yesterday or on Wednesday, I don't remember, I saw one of the government type of multi-site system that you have, which looks amazing and it's very easy to use. But I have to attend a technical conference to get more information about this. And our customers are not going to this type of conference, or at least that often. So we talk about this together when we're creating, but we not talk enough for people around the world. So, yeah, AI is also, I have just one slide for this, because half of the conference is already AI, and I believe that's going to happen more and more. So, like mentioned a couple of slides before, we can do a bit better content analysis. We can build tools for content suggestions. Yesterday we had a discussion about some of the workflows and how we can make things improving the workflow experience for the editorial teams. For example, like we can create a pipeline that AI is suggesting some content, a person is actually reviewing it, approving it, sending it over, having a bit better suggestion how this content might look or sound a bit better in terms of some native languages. Of course, we can image creation. It's kind of scary for me when I see what AI can do nowadays, but we can use it for better things, like, for example, suggesting better images based on our content analysis, have beautiful hero images, landing images, and whatnot. Also, AI can help us with the content generation itself, the migration across platforms, reusage. Like, for example, we can create a set of articles, for example, a nice recap of the session here. Then AI can help us to publish these pages, prepare a couple of LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever type of posts, and basically make our work easier and automated as much as possible so we can focus on the content as well. And, you know, with AI, it's fairly new thing, so we can do many, many more things, and it's just about to start, I think. So what else we can do? Like mentioned earlier, shared libraries. We can work together on the accessibility. Yesterday, I think in the keynote session, it was mentioned that European Union is gonna start forcing us, which I think is a good thing, in order to create our websites more accessible. I think together we can work in order to improve this, make our websites, our software more accessible for the people that have some sort of disabilities. Of course, Core Web Vitals is something that the CMS itself shouldn't matter, but we can share tools, best practices, and whatnot in order to have better scores, faster websites, better SEO. Speed and performance, part of this as well. Security is, you know, never-ending topic, so there is always something better that we can do. Hosting integration, I've mentioned it here in the slide, but I think we are in a fairly good shape. Most of the popular hosting companies have the needed support. Luckily, we are using PHP, which is popular enough. So yeah, mentioning PHP, I don't think we have that much of we have strong PHP community, but our CMS are not attending that much to the PHP community meetups and conference, and they are not attending to our conference and whatnot. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're using WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, whatever, we are still using PHP in one way or another. Pretty much same goes with JavaScript communities. Nowadays, probably at least half of the code base for WordPress is JavaScript based. It doesn't matter if it's React, Backbone, or jQuery, or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure with Drupal it's similar or somewhere around this, because nowadays JavaScript is out there. We also can do better documentation together. Like I mentioned, it's a bit hard to start with some of our CMSs, and there are many information about internet, but it's not that well organized or well described, or I think we can improve together as well. As mentioned a bit earlier, better case studies, better portfolios, and better things to showcase the amazing work that we are doing. And, you know, marketing campaigns, more talk about this, more fuss about. I'm opening Twitter, I'm seeing just a few tweets about the conference here. I'm opening Instagram, probably a bit easier nowadays and whatnot, but we don't make too much of a noise about that type of amazing events, and I think we should do better. This is something that has been started. It has been talked about for a few years, but it's official since this year. A couple of top open source CMS opened this type of alliance or whatever it is. It's meant to be working together and improve the things. I'm not sure how this is going to shape, but at least it's some start to start working together. Yeah, it has been quite a challenge throughout. It will be interesting journey as well, because, you know, Drupal, how old is Drupal actually? It's 23. Cool. WordPress is around that. They founded it. So it has been 20 years of this type of CMS, and I'm pretty sure they're here to stay, and they're still gonna grow and gonna improve. But I think we have to do this together. Thank you. You can find me with metodiev.com pretty much everywhere on Metodiev. So yeah. I have this slide. I'm going to share it. There are a couple of URLs with the stats, some of the credits that are using feature images, and here you can find a couple of the YouTube links and whatnot. But yeah. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
So one question I had was when you talked about marketing, and indeed I have seen a lot of Wix advertisements on YouTube, Squarespace, but I've never got an ad for Drupal. But that's also like, yeah, I guess kind of thing that it's community-based stuff, and then a company has like a lot of budget they throw against it. So how do you, like, how does WordPress do that stuff? Because I have not seen a WordPress advertisement as well.
Well, yeah, thank you for the question. It's a broad topic, but like WordPress has a marketing team that is all of the volunteers, like you have. Like basically, we have different communities, different teams that are working together, and they are discussing things how we can improve and how it's kind of tricky because, like you said, it's true. When you're a company, you have your own budget, you have your own goals, and things to be promoting and whatnot. But I think we can improve in things of like we have to share a bit more. We have to be a bit more active in terms of like preparing this type of marketing analysis, marketing research, or marketing content that can push. I'm not sure how the community in detail works here, but we with WordPress have the suggestions, have the case study and portfolio. So recently, earlier this month, there was the biggest conference for WordCamp Europe, which funnily I didn't attend in order to attend here. But they had a discussion that how we can improve together, how can prepare content type showcases, and they had this initiative to reach out to companies that are doing WordPress in order to submit their showcases, submit their websites, so people on place can review them, submit them faster, and basically have this going rolling, because otherwise you're submitting it and waiting for someone who is a volunteer to review and potentially improve it. So I know it's a vague answer, but it's basically something that we have to figure out together.
I also have a question. So I'm not very familiar with the WordPress ecosystem. In Drupal, the modules are for free. Is it in WordPress that they are paid? I think there are some paid plugins that you can buy. And my question is, you see some abandoned modules on Drupal.org or people starting something but not finishing it. I'm guilty of it. Sorry, but I'm curious.
One of us is.
But I'm curious to how that goes in the WordPress community. Do people get paid, and does it have an influence on people being more active in the modules and stuff like that? I'm just curious.
So the short answer is yes. We have both. Like there is around 60,000 or so free approved plugins that are living in WordPress.org. It's similar to what we have with modules. Every plugin has its own page, its own support, contributors, maintainers, and whatnot. So these are the officially approved plugins, but it's open source. There are free plugins out there over the internet. For example, I can create my own plugin, upload it to my website, and offer it for there. There are also many paid plugins, but I don't think we have the good enough ecosystem because every vendor out there is creating their own thing. For example, if you're paid, you have to respect the GPL license, but then you can create whatever you like. For example, I can open a shop, create 10 plugins, and sell them for how much I want, for offer how much support and whatever. There is no one big thing. And bigger plugins with bigger marketing are doing that type of promotion. For example, I won't name one of the popular page builders that we have. Like it's a drag and drop page editor that is creating. It's easy to use for people with less technical skills. But basically, they have ads all over the place. I'm opening a YouTube without ad blocker. They have an ad how WordPress is hard, but with our product, WordPress is easier, and that type of things. And they're doing it because they're making money of it. So we don't have the ecosystem in terms of like there is no one thing to control how you need to do things. And many people are doing the freemium model. You're creating a free software which has some features, but if you want to explore all the features, you have to pay for our premium plugin, for example. Like you can have a plugin for contact form. It has a couple of fields, but if you want to have an integration with HubSpot, for example, you have to purchase our premium plugin. So yeah, it's an interesting field.
So I just want to ask a bit more about that. So you personally know people, because in Drupal, there's only agencies that do websites.
Mm-hmm.
And if I am doing a module, for instance, the freemium model barely exists in Drupal. Out of my head, I cannot remember anything. But then you know there must be like small companies that actually survive just building plugins, and that by the freemium model, they run a sustainable company, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's not just plugins, it's also themes, because themes is something that it's really, really pushed forward WordPress last years. In terms of like, people nowadays, I tend to try to make a distinction between what is the visual part and what's the functionality part. But in WordPress ecosystem, many people are doing everything into a theme. So basically, you set up a multi-purpose theme, which can create from personal websites, from portfolio websites, from a gym, for example, website to e-commerce and whatnot. So people are selling this type of beautiful designs and beautiful themes with functionality that it's adding on top of what WordPress has. So there are, because WordPress is more popular, I think it's a bit easier to, you have more opportunity to be a solo entrepreneur or basically a small shop of 2 or 3 people, which it's a bit, I'm not saying it's easier because there are plenty of fish in the sea, but you can start this type of business.
So I think one of the problems open source has is Wix or Squarespace are a big company with a big marketing budget that are targeting, that can target their marketing very tightly, whereas most open source systems are a big ecosystem of independent, smaller companies, and they're each doing their own marketing thing. Now I know Drupal last year was at the Web Summit, and I think it was 4 agencies came together to do a Drupal stand. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a step in the right direction. Do you think there's scope for kind of a wider collaboration of Drupal, WordSpace, etc.? Sorry, WordPress, etc.
Yeah. Well,
do you think that, I suppose, where do you think we could work together in things like marketing?
Well, I think we can do together, and I can give you a couple of examples. Like in the WordCamps, the WordPress conference that we're doing, there is contributor day, which you have a full day dedicated to contribute back to WordPress in every shape or form. And it's funny enough, we are gathering together different companies and different people that we might be competitors out of the field, like we are fighting for the same type of clients, but during this type of conference we are working together, we are sitting, exchanging ideas, showcasing things, and it's purely code. It's more like the technical solutions and whatnot. So I think our marketing teams, because we at our company have a marketing team that attended to that type of conference and suggested some ideas, suggested some improvements and whatnot. So I think there is a room. I don't have the recipe and the solution for this. I want to have it in order to present it, but it's more like, let's talk about it. Let's see how we can do this together and figure it out. if I had the solution, I was going to share it and basically present the one thing that is going to work. I'm not sure if this answers the question, but well, if you don't have questions, or if you have questions later, I'll be here. So once again, thank you.
Thank you as well.